Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome to PRIDECAST. I am your host, Tony Lopez, and on today's PRIDECAST, we have the one and only literal love of my life, Karina. She was the stage manager for Love Story, and she is involved with all kinds of theater goodness outside of Cosmo and even outside of just Texas State in general. Karina, how are you doing today?
Here.
You know what? That's all any of us could ever be. I'm so happy you're here, though. What do you identify as based on your gender and sexual orientation, if you're comfortable with sharing?
Yeah. I identify as a gender fluid lesbian. I say that my pronouns are she, they. I don't really care. But it's one of those where it's like, I don't think I've fully explored that aspect of my identity,
right.
But I don't necessarily feel like I need to currently. So I just go with that. And then women, just women, that's all.
All right, this next question is kind of a three-parter. So if you want to break it down based off of the categories of it, that would be great. What is your journey in theater and in your queer identity, and has one ever influenced the other?
Cool. I have kind of been doing theater literally my entire life. My dad is a high school theater teacher, and it has kind of always been a family activity. So my mom did his costumes, and I've kind of been either in his shows or helping behind the scenes in every which way I can since I could. You know, there's a photo of me using a chop saw at 10 years old. Yeah, in terms of queer identity, I came out as queer about 8 years ago. And for the first, couple of years, I identified as bi. And it wasn't until the end of high school, I'll say, that I really solidified of like, no, I really only like women. Honestly, I didn't know gay people existed. But not in the like, I didn't know that gay people existed. I just didn't know it was different.
Right.
Like, growing up, I'm sure I was surrounded by so many queer people that like, because it's high school theater kids. Of course they're gay.
Yeah.
Even at a Catholic high school, of course they're gay. And so that was just like a thing. And then like in middle school, I started going on the internet more, and other like family members came out and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's a thing? Okay, me too. And so everybody has this like, I like didn't want to realize it about myself and this and that. And I was like, no, I just didn't know it was an option. And then once I knew it was an option, I was like, I started realizing those points of like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, that's me.
What are your biggest influences as a creator / storyteller? This could be anything, whether it's like another artist, a story that you find often influences your work, literally anything.
Honestly, this stems a lot from our playwriting class, because at the end, we took like themes from throughout the semester that we had written, and we kind of like put it into a collage and stuff like that. And I remember like asking the class when we were talking about my like collage thing of like, I feel like I write the same story over and over again. And something, I forget who said it, but they said that I explore love from multiple different angles. And the beginnings of love, the end of love, different, familial, platonic, romantic. And I think since then, that has fueled a lot of my work, is just human connection.
That's awesome. I feel like the best stories are the ones that focus on like the human connection, because I feel like that's what theater is. It's the study and then display of such and such happening.
Yeah.
And how to get from point A to point B.
It's such a universal topic. I mean, everybody interacts with other people
right
every single day. And if you're not interacting with other people, you're still interacting with yourself. And that gets into a whole other conversation about, you know, performing identity and stuff like that. But it's something that you can't really escape.
In what ways does your identity influence your work?
I very rarely write straight couples. It's really funny. I did try at one point in my playwriting class this semester. It's like, I'm gonna write a straight couple. One of them ended up non-binary. I was like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? It's just more interesting this way.
Right. It's just so hard to write about something you don't quite understand.
Exactly. And it's very much so I have a perspective on life to tell that other people don't. And why shouldn't I be sharing that perspective?
You are a newer member of Cosmo, and we're so happy to have you. And you stage managed Love Story with me. I loved all of your work. So what challenges did you face? I already know the answer to this question, but you could have different challenges than even what I'm thinking. What challenges did you face as stage managing that project? That was kind of very much like it was put together in the room. Oftentimes we would get in, I would say, this is what we're going to work on, and then we would make it. So what was it like managing that whole ordeal?
I'm trying to condense all of my thoughts.
Thank you so much.
It was trying to herd cats. It was chaos that I was trying desperately to organize. And there was definitely a point where I was like, I have to just let this be a little bit messy. Obviously, right off the bat, biggest challenge, finding space.
Right.
The theater center is so incredibly active at all times. So, you know, reserving rooms for us to be able to work and play in was, oh God. But I mean, we started out the project in a very different place than we ended it.
Right.
And I know, like, you and I sat down multiple times and we were like, okay, we have to like revise and rework our schedule. And that happened at least like 2 times, I'm pretty sure. Just like, we have to alter our expectations of this. In theater, I feel like there's always the magic time of like, if I just had one more week, like we could have done everything.
Right.
But I feel like by the end of our process, like it was ultimately what we wanted to accomplish. Or it was the week before spring break that I was sitting there going, I don't know how this is going to come together. But I think all of us just kind of, you know, let go of the reins that we were like gripping tightly, and we just let it be what it was going to be.
This is not just for Cosmo, but for all of the theater you've experienced thus far. Do you feel represented? And if not, why?
I think I'll go back to, it's been 8 years and I'm playing my first gay character. I'm also disabled, which is a large part of my identity, especially recently. And in a way, I've almost portrayed that more often, but in slightly different facets. But there's just not as many opportunities,
Right.
I feel like. And I do think in recent years, there has been an emphasis on making sure you have the right people to tell the story you're telling. I think both in the industry as a whole and on smaller scales, like in educational theater, there is that effort at Texas State.
Right.
And I think student organizations as well are slightly better at it just because it's values that we as the younger generation hold. But it becomes tricky when you don't have the material to tell the stories you want to tell.
All right, we are down to our last question. It is probably the deepest, darkest question that we have here in the catalog. It is our silly question. I had thought about what on earth we could possibly ask Karina.
I'm so scared.
That we would get to emphasize how, like, the connoisseur of gayness that she is. And no one knows the System of Love story more than Karina does. So I would like you to rank all of the songs from not gayest to gayest.
Oh yes. Hold on. The spreadsheets are coming out really fast because I have to remember all of our songs.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and take down the notes here.
Okay.
Karina's gay love story tier list.
So real.
That we love it.
We love it.
Oh my gosh. Well,
that's everything.
Thank you so much. Oh.
No, I was just double checking the list to make sure that was everything.
Slay. Wonderful.
Slay.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us, Karina. We love you so much, and we love all of the work that you've done for us. You may be a newer member, but you have put in an effort and a half for us. Do you have any parting words for our lovely viewers?
Go be gay, bitches. Being gay is so good. Just be gay.
The most real and valid sentence ever to leave Karina's mouth right now. This has been PRIDECAST, a show by Cosmo to highlight the best and brightest of our troop. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to make your own yes, and always, always slay hard. Duh.
Slay.